Good morning, everyone. It's January 14th, 2019. I'm Eric. Here I am at All News Pipeline, and I'm going to cover this article, if you want to call it that, because of the title here. Antifa no-go zones, just the latest attempt by these thugs to become ISIS terrorists of America. They look like them, act like them, and use the same playbook. Okay, so she thinks that these guys here are just like these guys, and have it all backwards, right? Well, here's the thing. I don't see Antifa out in the streets or on video throwing faggots off the roofs of buildings. I don't see them beheading people for a religion. I don't see them being funded by the CIA and other agencies, right? So, this woman, Susan Duclos, she's trying to compare apples to oranges. Antifa is nowhere near the same as fucking ISIS. And, by the way, ISIS is the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. So, there's that. So, she says that Antifa groups are not only similar to ISIS terrorists in appearance. Okay, I'll give her that they both wear black. Okay? That's as far as the comparison can go. Wearing black and cowardly covering their faces. But they're also eerily similar in the manner they go after those they have decided are the enemy. Okay, well, here's the thing. In this country, we have two sides, right? Actually three, but we're talking about two sides. We have the left and the right. And each side looks at the other as a political enemy at minimum, right? Some of them even religious enemies. And you're not supposed to, you're supposed to fight your enemy, right? You're supposed to do everything you can to undermine their efforts, especially in politics. That's why our government is set up the way it is. And so that the president can check Congress, and the Congress, Senate, can check the president. When a shutdown happens, that means they're not agreeing on something. And that's what you want. You don't want these people agreeing. Let's see here, where did I leave off? Right. As evidenced by their latest stunt of doxing, revealing home addresses of the entire staff, including advertising staff of the Daily Caller. The note associated with the post, which revealed the home addresses of the Daily Caller staff, stated Tucker Carlson is a scumbag. Right? I'm not saying Tucker Carlson is a scumbag. I'm saying anyone who subscribes to either side of this left-right paradigm, there may not be some scumbags, but they certainly are suckers. They certainly are dupes. They say that the Daily Caller staff are all complicit in promoting racist propaganda. And this is my biggest problem with Antifa, is what they're fighting for. That's my biggest problem with them. So, I mean, no, they shouldn't be going after Tucker Carlson or any of these other people, but that's what you do when you have enemies. You go after them, right? I'm seeing this as a perfectly natural way of existence. One side goes after the other goes after the other side, and it's a vicious back and forth, and I don't think it's going to stop. So prior to that, Antifa had done the same to 37 U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents or employees and their families. Now, what is it with the Republicans? They say that they're for small government, yet they create new agencies to expand government power. I happen to agree with the left on this one. I don't think we need that new agency. I don't. Anyway, I thought I'd share this with you, simply because, you know, this is bullshit. They're saying Antifa is just like fucking ISIS. And again, they're not throwing faggots off the top of the building. They're not having child brides. They're not beheading people on video. They're not doing a lot of the shit. They're not even armed, a lot of them, right? How are they the same? How are they the same? I don't think they are. I think Susan Duclos is being dishonest here. And I've covered a few of her articles, but that one... And look at... Everyone has these headlines. You go through fucking YouTube, and you click on a Planet X video. These motherfuckers keep re-uploading the same video over and over and over again with titles like NASA just announced. Fuck you. I mean, look at this. I mean, everything is about fear. Everyone is trying to make you fear, right? What's there to be afraid of? Death? Are you really afraid of death? You shouldn't be. So, Banking Insider warns we could soon start seeing some pretty dark scenarios unfolding as 9 mills to anarchy in the dog days of winter could be calamitous. Government shutdown proves many government employees won't survive the end of the world as we know it. And this is Stefan Stanford. If this January 10th article over at NBC News warning of a potential doomsday scenario unfolding if the government shutdown drags on for weeks or months or even years, with some economic experts claiming we're venturing into no man's land, doesn't spur one to prepare, perhaps nothing will. I'm just going to keep going. While their stories report, or while their article reports this doomsday scenario is unlikely, they nevertheless report it's also chilling, with the U.S. potentially facing what economists actually called an economic hellscape should this worst-case scenario unfold. And while Michael Schneider over at the Economic Collapse blog reports that the mainstream media is overhyping the potential economic impact of the government shutdown for a political purpose or purposes, we had reported on AMP back on January 2nd, should the shutdown extend into February of 2019, 38 million low-income Americans could lose their food stamps, and as long long been warned, only 9 meals stand between a civil society and total anarchy. And I really hate how they use the word anarchy. NBC reports 6 million more Americans face possible tax refund delays. 2 million people without rental assistance face eviction. 800,000 federal employees face potential dire financial straits, with the chief economist of Moody's Analytics telling NBC News that if the standoff persists and Congress and President Donald Trump can't reach a deal soon, it's game over. You'll have a pretty severe recession, adding you could start seeing some pretty dark scenarios worldwide. This warning as we enter the dog days of winter, with the coldest months of the year now here. With the shutdown also highlighting the fact that 78% of U.S. workers live paycheck to paycheck, according to this CNBC article that Drudge Report linked to a few days ago. And Tony Reardon, president of the National Treasury Employees Union, telling CNBC his union has heard from many frantic employees who've told them they are afraid because they don't know how they're going to put food on the table. We're not surprised that Costco is unable to keep their 27-gallon bucket of macaroni and cheese in stock, showing millions of Americans are in a prepping mode. Yet while some are awakening and prepping, Michael Schneider points out in his article that many federal government workers must be among the worst preppers around, while asking, how will these folks survive in a real SHTF scenario? They're not. That was the whole point. The whole point of getting people on welfare, employing them, is to get them dependent and then pull that shit from under them. That is the whole point. This comes from Schneider's article. The worst case scenario would be if mobs of angry people started taking to the streets and rioting in large urban areas. That is definitely a possibility, especially if this shutdown lasts for several more months. But for the moment, most of the focus is on the hundreds of households or hundreds of thousands of federal workers that are not getting paychecks right now. We are being endlessly bombarded with sob stories about how much these workers are suffering after missing one paycheck. Yeah, try being a felon in this country and finding a job. You think you're suffering? You haven't seen shit. If people can't handle going a couple of weeks without pay, how are they going to handle things when a real crisis erupts in this country? And again, they're not going to handle it. Now, I've said this many times before. When an actual mega shit hit the fan event happens, many, many, many people will opt to kill themselves and their families instead of facing whatever it is that that's unfolding. And that's really sad. That's really cowardly, in my opinion, as you've lived all this time, and all of a sudden, when something really bad happens, you decide to do something like that. I mean, in normal times, after years of suffering, and you decide to knock yourself off, that's a little bit different. But we're talking about killing your family. And a lot of people, I've talked to people, and they said they will kill their family and themselves if things get too bad. In this must-read new article by the Sacker over at the UNZ Review, titled Placing the USA on a Collapse Continuum, our author gives evidence that all great empires eventually fall, and that the U.S. has long been on that trajectory of failure, with Barack Obama truly the beginning of the end. Arguing within his article that the collapsing of a society can go on for years, maybe decades, but it is in a state of collapse nonetheless once a society has reached all 5 stages of collapse as defined by Dmitry Orlov in his 2013 book, The 5 Stages of Collapse. Survivor's Toolkit. Orlov mentions the following 5 stages. I'm not sure if I uploaded this video or not. I did a video about this, and I think I deleted it because I kept fucking stuttering. Stage 1. Financial collapse. Faith in business as usual is lost. Stage 2. Commercial collapse. Faith in the market shall provide is lost. Stage 3. Political collapse. Faith that the government will take care of you is lost. And by the way, probably if the shutdown goes on long enough, that right there will be the deal, right? Simple logic. 4. Stage 4. Social collapse. Faith that your people will take care of you is lost. Stage 5. Cultural collapse. Faith in the goodness of humanity is lost. And I don't think these stages really need to go in order, because one can happen before the other, in my opinion, right? For example, stage 5, cultural collapse. Faith in the goodness of humanity is lost. I think I'm already at that point. How about you? With all the fucking pervert, pedophile, government fucking officials having their way with little children, and people just ignoring it, I think it's pretty fucking reasonable to lose faith in the goodness of humanity. I mean, who's doing anything about it? Anybody with power, right? And while America hasn't quite yet fallen to the depths of despair that come along with a complete failed nation, as the Sacker pointed out within his story, the U.S. has long been intentionally set upon a trajectory towards collapse, with a globalist view of what we might look at by 2025, perfectly seen in the numbers being forecast for America by the website Deagle, which, as of this moment, is still showing the U.S. to look like a former shell of itself by 2025, listing our forecast population by 2025 to just be just shy of 100 million people, down more than 227 million from the 327 million living here in 2017. The forecast drops in our gross domestic GDP, military budget, GDP per capita, and forecast purchase power parity for each person shown an American by 2025 to be in dire straits. And of course, I've covered that Deagle forecast ad nauseum. While a recent nationwide poll found a majority of Americans blame President Trump and the Republicans for the ongoing government shutdown, that has now become the longest such shutdown in U.S. history, will argue that we have the globalists to blame for the absolute mess that America is in now. with a national debt of over 21 trillion and growing every moment, and very little of that accumulated on POTUS Trump's watch. And that's true, except he has ran up quite the fucking bill himself. Conservatives, Republicans, whatever you want to call these people, and they bitched and complained about how much fucking money Obama was spending on trips, and Donald Trump, man, he's spending more. And this December 8th story over at Business Insider hits at why America will be in huge trouble with the deaths of mom and pop stores all across the country, while big tech grocery supply stores have thrived and driven others out of business. According to Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, Amazon will go bankrupt. Wow. Meanwhile, with the government now shut down, the FDA is unable to do safety inspections upon food, as The Hill reports in this recent story. Let me stop right there. What good does the FDA actually do? I mean, these are the same people who rubber stamp everything Monsanto puts out, right? And God only knows what else. Every vaccine. So why complain about the FDA being unable to do safety inspections? But as the Business Insider story reports, for some reason, Bezos keeps talking about Amazon's inevitable death, and while Bezos himself likely lost half his fortune with recent news of his divorce, imagine an America without Amazon after Amazon has already driven all of the mom and pop stores out of business. I don't think that's true, because we have quite a few of them still here in South Carolina. With Bezos' announcement and the possible unrest surrounding the government shutdown giving all of us more reasons to prepare as we head into a 2019 that's looking more and more mysterious and open-ended every day, when we remember that the globalists set America up to fail, with the U.S. funding globalist projects all around the planet while caring little about the American people. It appears that their end game for America is growing closer every day. So, do I think anything's going to come of the government shutdown? Probably not at first. Probably people are going to try to do what they can to secure food. But when they fail, and they will fail, that's when they're going to take to the streets. That's when violence is going to start happening. Will Trump open the government back up before then? Only time will tell. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a psychic, and I don't like making predictions all that much. But from what it looks like, and this is just the way it appears, from what it looks like, Trump is in no hurry to open the government back up, and neither is Congress. And as this video right here says in their title, it could be a pre-planned, prolonged U.S. government shutdown to get such a thing going. So, that's just my opinion, though. And what do I know? I'm just poor white trash that can't get his own life together, right? So, who knows? Who knows if I'm right? But I think probably I am. I'll try to put more out today. I have a Discord chat set up for subs to chit-chat on. And if you agree with or like what I've said, please give me a thumbs up, maybe a share, and my PayPal link is in the description box below. I do not like saying that, but it is. I don't want to be like those other channels who are constantly whining about fucking money, okay? As you can see, I have not monetized. I never will monetize because I don't want commercials on my fucking videos. But nonetheless, a little backing would help. Until next time, kill the state, live free.